let's get into our first topic of the day. It's only me and you, Culture. He did spend a lot of time sitting down, didn't he?
Yeah.
That promo didn't land on Plymouth Rock. That landed on us.
Give me your thoughts, Culture. What did you think of Equalizer 3? So, obviously, just FYI, guys, it's only me and Culture that have seen Equalizer 3. So, we're going to review it for you. What did you think?
Well, leave it to Denzel Washington to make sitting just entertaining as all get out. I mean, honestly, I didn't say this during my own review. I was saving it for here, but he sat around a lot. There was a lot of sitting.
No, he's in his 60s. Come on.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You couldn't tell. I mean, he was sitting around. He kind of got injured, in the film itself. And look, he was brilliant in this. He can say no words and act his butt off. I mean, it was phenomenal. But I was most impressed, and I'll say that not just by him, because he's an Oscar winner for lots of reasons, but the cinematography here, every angle of every shot was planned beginning to end. Antoine Fuqua is a mastermind, or whoever he hired as a cinematographer. Because
watch your mouth.
What did that?
Fuqua.
Now you made Mr. H say it.
The director's name. It sounds.
Yes, Antoine Fuqua is a great director, and it's the only director that Denzel says he'll work for anymore. Isn't that right, Culture?
This is true, and I loved and I loved it. I mean, like I said, every single shot in this was so crisp, beautiful, planned out. There was like 4 drone shots in a row that were perfectly coordinated that I was losing my mind over. I'm like, and not only that, they delineate the different levels of the bad guys by whether they drive motorcycles or luxury cars. I mean, there's elements in this thing where I was like, well, yes, that's exactly right. It was so well done. And the misdirect, the reveals, all the things that happen on your way from beginning to end. And they only tease you. The trailer literally was a tease of the beginning of the movie. There's very little from the rest of the movie that's in the trailer. So you are not going to be spoiled going into this. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's that good. It's that good. I gave it a 9 out of 10. 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's high praise. So
where would you stack it up against the other 2 Equalizers then?
Oh, this is the best of the 3.
What?
Wow. Whoa. Really? Even better than the first one. Huh?
Okay, the first one was great.
Oh.
I'm talking as a piece of cinema, as pure film. Equalizer 1 was great, lots of shootiness, right? But this one is less shooting. Pew. It was way less pew. Yeah, it was way less in this one, but everything had more impact. There are 2 moments in this film you will leave your seat because they are that surprising. They're
I thought you just meant it was long enough that I'll have to pee twice.
No, it's a short movie. 100.
It is actually pretty short. All right. Well, okay. Interesting. Right. So you say that there's a lot less, there's a lot more time and a lot less pew. So there's a lot more sort of character development. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was fantastic. But on your note of saying that there's more character development, right?
Yeah.
It actually has to have that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the third, but listen, because it's the 3rd movie in the franchise. And the first one didn't need as much because it was built into the narrative of who he is and what he's doing and where he's situated in his current life.
Yeah.
So you actually had so when I discussed this, I was like, look, these movies are feel-good movies because they are, right?
They are.
But they're feel-good movies in the sense that they're moralistic feel-good movies. This chap is going about his business and he will fuck up the bad guys because he can.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, but he will because he can when it serves a moral integrity aspect, right?
Yes.
And so the first movie has all that built in because he's established. It's where he works. You see him going about his day-to-day life. You see it with his little sort of OCD aspect when he's late night and he's folding his little handkerchiefs and all that kind of stuff. This movie had to spend a lot longer on establishing why he would defend this town as opposed to just going, fuck this shit, bye-bye. So it had to have a lot less pew. And I feel like it actually did a very good job of balancing that. I wouldn't say it's better than the first one. Personally, I'd say it's better than the second one, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
closely on par with the first, but not quite.
Okay.
Closely on par, but not quite. Because to me, it didn't quite grab the emotional weight of the first one, because you really felt like everything he was doing, you really felt it. You really felt it. This one, it was like, close. Not quite.
I know where you're coming from. I'm just going to say I felt this one more. And the reason being is because I fell in love with the people in that town.
I agree with you there.
I fell in love.
That they were like, they see you as one of them now. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I mean, they just started to treat him. He's walking around, and these are not spoilers, guys. But I'm going to tell you something that I've mentioned before, and I think Tom can add to, even though he hasn't seen the film yet. The town is its own character. It's its own being. It's its own person. There is a great love here, and the character development was ridiculous.
To take an element from your name, it's the culture of the town that comes across very well on the screen. So I will agree with you. The cinematography was beautiful. Every frame could have been a poster. If you had seen any of those frames on a postcard, you would have bought it straight away. You'd have gone, I'm buying that. I'm going to ship that off home to whoever at home, whatever, who cares. It was beautiful. It was very, very well made. Very, very well made.
Hey, can I ask a question in this? Where is this? Where is this set? Is this
Italy?
Okay, cool. Okay,
seaside town. It looked like it could have been the Amalfi Coast, but it wasn't. It's that sort of beautiful Mediterranean coastal Italy town. It was absolutely staggeringly beautiful.
They call it like Altamonte or something.
Yeah, I never bothered to look to see if it was a real place, but I mean, I'm liking it to the Amalfi Coast because it was red hot sun the whole time. It looked beautiful. It was just a beautiful place. The cinematography was great. I will say, the action, there was no one point where I'm sat there going, this is like a 60-year-old bloke doing this. Didn't take me out of it at all.
No.
The action was great, very well made, and this isn't your. I would liken this to a John Wick film in the perspective that this lead character gets injured and suffers and really suffers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even just, obviously you've seen the film, the opening of the film specifically suffers quite a lot of the impetus behind what happens in the
that moment
events.
That moment where he's leaving, that situation, and then you're like,
and he's just sat there like, oh, fuck. It's that moment, and you clock it in his face. And this is the good thing about Denzel Washington's a great actor. He's so obviously he's an Oscar winner, but he's an Oscar winner from the time where Oscars meant something. But he's so very good. The nuance in his face, where he was just like, oh, yeah, I fucked up here. Christ, like, what have I done? But it rang true. It was like, yeah, I've really slipped up here. I overlooked this. My mistake.
And instead of the mystery box not being revealed at the very end of the movie, you now understand
I like
the motivation. Yeah, it was so
I like that.
good.
I like that a lot. I thought it was brilliant. That's a fantastic. So, no spoilers, but the end of the movie is a fantastic callback to the first movie, and it ties itself in a nice big bow. And if I didn't see any more of these movies, I'd be very happy. I think this is a fantastic send off to the character and a very nice big loop for the character and everyone involved in the first movie and this one. Brilliant film. Would highly recommend. And it's a movie that I was very surprised to see in the theaters. And what I mean by that is it's just not, you just don't see these films in theaters anymore. You don't see them. Yeah, you see the John Wick, but that has a big... When was the last Equalizer film? I mean, they released that garbage series. They don't release these films very often. No. And to sit in
that's
theaters,
what surprised me is it's been 5 years since the sequel, and that's where I was surprised also to see how well it's playing on Labor Day weekend as opposed to 4th of July, which the other two opened up on.
Second biggest Labor Day weekend in record history.
Which is, okay, that's like saying, look.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's like saying, it's one of the worst weekends of the summer, so like almost every year that record's broken. Like Shang-Chi broke the record.
Well,
that's what I mean. Like, I think it originally was set by Freddy versus Jason years ago, and then that was the thing for a while. That so people are like, oh, we can release something like that near the end of August that isn't exactly for kids, and Like, yeah.
I will say this because a lot of people have commented here and elsewhere that I'm convincing them to see this film. Don't go in there thinking this is going to be an explosive action thing.
It's not a shoot 'em up.
Yeah, don't go in there. Don't go in there if you don't appreciate movies for what they are, the ability for them to convey a great deal of emotion, to have a whole lot of depth, things like that, then I don't want you to go in there oversold and be mad at me. I'm just telling you, if you like just amazingly made, high quality, beginning to end, good story movies, this one should not disappoint.
All you guys have said it's better than the second film, and as long as it's better than the second film, then that's fine.
It is.
It's a
because to me the second film was a little bit of a step down from the first movie because it lost the episodic nature and feel of the first movie, which kind of made it feel like, okay, I knew that the old Equalizer TV show was. I hadn't seen it in years, but I understood the concept. I liked the idea that you get into it and there's like these 4 or 5 cases that he's dealing with or whatever you want to call them. They're not necessarily cases, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then they all kind of, a couple of them kind of tie together to a big end sequence, which I thought was neat. The second film, it got too into the interpersonal shit, especially when you have an old partner gone bad and they telegraph that from a mile away. And it's probably one of Pedro Pascal's worst performances of all time. And I mean, he's a great actor. I don't like him personally, but I mean, as far as acting goes, I mean, he can act his ass off. And in that movie, he's horrible. Yeah. And then you have also the other partner getting killed or whatever, his old partner. So it's like that whole thing just kind of like, feels too much like a Lethal Weapon kind of movie than it does Equalizer. And then, so I was hoping that what you guys are saying is this movie's getting back more to the, kind of episodic Western feel.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Right. I mean, this is a man with a gun, like the old Western sheriff, like, and that's exactly.
Wow. For a lot of the party, does he? He doesn't have a gun.
No. Well, and that's again, there is so much beauty in how this film.
That's the other thing. Now I got to ask Nate about this because a lot of people are comparing this to the Halloween films. They're saying that basically, like,
what?
Yeah, they're saying like
reverse Halloween.
Yeah, like Denzel Washington, like from Michael Myers' perspective, because Denzel Washington is basically like Michael Myers, the way he moves and the way he navigates and the way he kills. That it's basically like seeing a Halloween movie, but it would have been from Michael Myers' perspective. Yeah.
I think that's an oversimplification. I think that there's, I think so. Without to answer that, without going into too much spoilers, I think what they're referencing is the end of the movie.
Yeah.
When he puts on a wet mask.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he literally skins William Shatner. Actually, what he does.
Well, they didn't say it like that, but I mean, like the way he moves and just the silent killer and all that kind of business. Yeah.
So I think it's an oversimplification. Actually, I think what he does very well at the end of the movie is a certain amount of stealthness. Yeah. I wouldn't really say it's like a reverse Halloween. I think even culture would sort of disagree with that, to be fair.
Okay, so I love to do this with movies I haven't seen, but okay, so how does it compare to, like, I'll just throw one out there. Book of Eli. Is it better than Book of Eli?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a different beast, but I'd say so.
All right, John Q. That's kind of a deep cut there.
Oh, John Q. Wow.
I'll let culture answer that one.
Oh, just ever so slightly. Again,
I got one more. I got one more to throw at you.
You're dealing with Denzel Washington.
There's a lot of endearingness roped into the story that endears.
Oh, I'm curious to hear what Jonas's other one is, but
Man on Fire.
Oh, it's right on the same level.
See, that's the other one I was going to say is a lot of people are saying it pays homage to that in a way, and it's almost kind of a weird sequel, and I'm not going to say any more than that, Jonas. I'll leave it at that since nobody else said anything. And yeah. But I think it's only fair to compare these to the other films because this is the first time that Denzel's ever done a series, right? He's never done a sequel before.
Yeah,
like a franchise type deal.
Yeah, so even though I think he's supposed to be in some upcoming sequel, what was it?
God, I've got no idea.
Trying to remember now, but he wasn't in the original, but he's going to be in the sequel, I think, and I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look.
Malcolm X2.
Yes, Back from the Dead.
X-Men United.
Guys, let's get us some epic super chats because we've had some great comments.
Oh yeah, that's it. I remember what it was now. It was that stupid Gladiator 2 he's supposed to be in.
But you wanted to give your thoughts on Equalizer 3? Be my guest. Let's go.
Yeah, sure. Because I just I was listening while I was out earlier, and I just heard that you spoke about, like, oh, it's interesting. That's a hallmark of a good movie if you can just go straight into part 3 and it grabs
I
your
think so.
attention.
Yeah.
And I will say that I actually think that it was a better experience because I hadn't seen parts 1 and 2. This movie is a really interesting standalone movie, and the way that it's the setup, the whole thing, it doesn't assume any kind of prior knowledge at all. Like, literally, the movie is kind of like designed as if you go in cold. You see, here's this kind of mystery guy. He never lets anyone know who he is or what he does. It's never explained in the movie. You kind of have to deduce it. And only towards the very, very end does he even let anyone know why he was there in that mob stronghold in the first place. It's kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, this is how the whole thing started. So even if you have seen the first 2 movies, you have no idea why he's there. You don't know any more than any outsiders. You may know more about who he is or what he does, but the movie doesn't require it for you to understand it, or quite the contrary. When he talks about, are you a good or a bad man? I would say it's an advantage if you haven't seen anything he has done before. The way that this movie was scripted, I submit it actually works better as a standalone movie than as a part 3. This is kind of like I would say, like, this is Denzel's Unforgiven, where you have like Clint Eastwood, right, playing a Western movie at the end of his career, and it's a completely new character that we haven't seen before. Like, oh, you see him, and you kind of like imagine that he will have had some kind of like backstory that's similar to what we've seen in The Good, the Bad, and Ugly and stuff like that. You just kind of imagine that, but you don't know that. It's a new character that you see for the first time, who's kind of like this mystery in a sense, right? This is the exact same thing here.
Yeah.
This movie works perfectly better if you haven't seen the first 2. That's how good it is.
It's interesting to hear your thoughts. I'd be genuinely curious to hear what you think. Go back and watch the first one, because it's on Netflix in the UK.
Yeah,
I highly recommend you go back and watch the first one.
I will. For like I've started like skimming them, and but to me, so far, the third one, man, honestly, a masterpiece.
The first one genuinely is not something to skim. It's something to sit down there and honestly.
I know, that's what I figured. That's what I figured. Oh, I have to get back to this.
Very good film. Yeah, it massively holds up. I watched it the other day, and I was engrossed again. So would recommend.